Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. We are here this evening for the F2 Championship, once again live from the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia. We've had a very interesting season. Although championship battles have not necessarily been the forward, we have had some fantastic races left, right and centre, including, of course, last week at Spa-Francorchamps. Joining me in the commentary box for the third time this season, it is the man who's not on your screen, but you can see his name, you can see his profile picture. It is Timon. Timon, how are you doing?
I am Pretty tired, if I have to be honest. I have literally just gone back from school. That's also the reason why I don't have a camera set up currently, because I look like a proper mess. But I am excited for this race. I think Jeddah, it's a track where you got a lot of high speed. It causes chaos, and as a commentator point of view, it's normally never a boring race. Probably jinxing it right now, but I'm happy to be back in F2 for the third time. Unfortunately, having to replace more games again. But unfortunately for him, personal life does have a priority over league racing, and we fixed it this way. But yeah, happy to be back and looking forward to this one.
Yes, as Timon said, it is a very messy circuit, which you can see on your screen now, folks. But before we talk about this evening, let's have a quick rerun of the championship standings before heading into this evening's proceedings. It is, of course, NLR Urbeck who has stormed to the front, taking the championship lead even further. But he did not win last week, of course. Remember, we had quite an exciting finish in Belgium. We had some late rain, and he did not take the win. It was Keke who took his second win of the season and closing in on taking second in the championship. Of course, Gabriel did leave, so Keke is certainly on course for second in the championship, but maybe a late title charge. We'll have to wait and see. The results, if you did watch last week, they're exactly the same. We had 0 stewards' inquiries, which was fantastic considering the race we had. But it's Baki then in fourth in the standings. Diogo Silva has promoted himself to fifth. That's a valiant effort for Diogo. He came second, of course, last week. Max van der Geest, which I'm well aware I'm pronouncing wrong, and Timon will correct me by the end of this, but he is currently in sixth. Zane in seventh, with Dark in eighth. Fede in ninth, and then OP Covers in 10th. Tales has dropped to 11th. Newt then in 12th. Then it's Johan, Dirk, Macho, Noel, Skyline, Mal, Will Murdoch, and Nicolope rounds out your top 20. Of course, the bottom of the order being very hit and miss in terms of attendance and stuff along those lines. But Timon, Saudi Arabia, you were saying about it briefly in the introduction. It's usually fairly chaotic, isn't it?
Well, yes, it normally is, because it does allow these overtaking opportunities. And it is a fairly wide track with a lot of corners that are very high speed. So low downforce will be ran, and the question will be who runs lower downforce and can keep the momentum in there in Sector 1. And Sector 1 is definitely not the easiest one as well. Lots of fast-flowing momentum. And if you make one mistake, you might be riding a curb, being sent wide and losing like 1.5 seconds because you get dirty tyres as well. But the drivers have readied up, so already starting to get back in. And for my standards, that is pretty impressive, considering last week I had to deal with 6 lobby restarts.
Yeah, Timon, was it F4 you were covering last week? Yeah, last week we had finished our race. Timon's tier, F4, starts at the same time as us, 7 o'clock. We finished our race. I checked the Discord chat, and Timon was on lap 4. So that was well over an hour and 20 minutes of commentating on simply nothing. So we have, hopefully, a less crazy evening ahead of us from Timon standards. From my standards, it could be equally as crazy, because F2 usually provides around this Saudi Arabian circuit. Jovan Bussell, of course, wrapped up the championship here last season. It was slightly later in the season, though, but he did wrap up the championship. I was covering F2, as I believe both of their commentators were out, so more, maybe not a fan of Saudi Arabia, but nevertheless, we should be in for a really interesting evening now, and we're going to get it started pretty much straight away as we head in to the Jeddah Corniche circuit live for qualifying. Nobody out on track yet. We've joined with a total of 15 seconds gone, but who'd you fancy for a pole here, Tybon? I know you have a bit of experience now in F2. Who takes your fancy?
I mean, predicting pole on a track like this is never easy. I do know that you need to watch out for Mal the Dink. In P12 currently, I mean, no one's set a lap time yet, but on my screen it's P12. In the Red Bull, I know that he is fairly rapid around this track, and I know that he's done a fair bit of practice. But I know that Govers said he had a very decent PP, and that Keke was saying, "Oh, I'm half a second off that." But on F2, in an F2 grid, you never know. Sometimes the driver peaks like crazy, and the other times you have the whole grid bottling it and everyone being slower than the F5 ball. So that's the thing, you never really notice. But qualifying in this grid, it does mean a lot, but race pace normally decides the main thing, and that's also where the points get handed out. But currently we see a lot of drivers out on track. Currently, I'm trying to see who the first one out on track is, and I've gone scrolled through everyone, and it is Noel. I started scrolling the other way around from dark, so I've literally gone through the whole grid. But the Barnell Racing member looking to impress once again this week in the Williams. He needs to do a solid job for Airpack, of course. Airpack having to defend his title charge, and especially since Gabriel left him, or left his. He was his biggest rival, and he left the league because of reasonings. I think he was going to focus on school again, and of course, as a Brazilian, having to race in such a prestigious tier, it requires a lot of practice. So, but besides that, I think it's going to be a one-sided championship run for the rest of the season. But let's take a lap on board with Noel Evan.
Yeah, let's go on board with Noel as he heads through the final corner. Timing with a bit of an interesting prediction in terms of Mal for pole, but he's usually up there around circuits like this. Here comes Noel in towards turn number 1 then. He has the difficult job of being teammates to NLR Airpack. Airpack, of course, being very good this season, especially in qualifying. An average qualification position of 1.6. So he's more likely to be on pole than anywhere else, realistically, here in this field. But Noel heading through this very quick first sector, then flicking it in towards turn number 7, 8 now 9, and in towards 10, where we saw poor Mick Schumacher have a horrible accident back in 2022 it was, not 2021, it was 2022. 31.6 in the first sector for Noel. He's just rounding his Williams up through these flat lefts and rights, but it's a very difficult right-hander next here. We see some incidents here in the Grand Prix and in qualifying. Raised curb on the inside as well now. Certainly doesn't add it, or doesn't make it any easier. This has been slightly widened since the last time you would have saw it last game, but again, no real difference, all just flat out corners. This one equally as difficult, 59.4 for Noel. This is not too bad a lap as he heads down towards the final corner. The Williams will be looking to pile on the brakes, maybe take a bit of a late apex as he flies past an Alfa Romeo Sauber on the left hand side. Going to use 4th gear through here is Noel. Oh, it's quite slow and lackadaisical through there. The car would not really respond for him. He was sort of just battling to put the power on, really, but Noel across the line, 26.4. Unfortunately for his sake, that's not going to be the quickest we see today, because he's instantly beaten by Dark. Heading down towards the start-finish line, then I believe it is the Red Bull of Mal, who, yep, here comes Mal. Can he take pole and prove timing correct? No, he's a tenth a second adrift. 26.5 in the first sector. Back he jumps up for Haas Formula 1, up to the top, 26.3. The times slowly but surely getting a little bit quicker here in qualifying. Keep an eye on Keke as well, but it's his teammate Macho who's going to head towards the start-finish line. 59.7 in the middle sector. That's a 0.3 of a second slower than Noel. He's going to have a monster here in the final sector if he wants to beat him, but unfortunately that's not the case, and he is almost 0.4 of a second down on the Williams, and he goes to 7th. Max then goes up to 2nd spot. 2 Ferraris coming to the start-finish line. G-League Ethan jumps up to 5th. Johan jumps up to 8th. Johan very good, of course, in Sport Workshops, but unfortunately the race did not play out to his hands whatsoever. Dirk, that's only going to be last. He'll be picking up the wooden spoon for the time being. Your championship leader is just getting his lap underway. Started it a lot later than anybody else. There goes Keke, last week's race winner, to the top. Here comes Covers across the line, and that's going to be a front row for Covers. So the track is getting quicker here in Saudi Arabia.
You said in this PB was a 0.1, seemingly already beats by him. By the way, Evan, I don't think statistics is your best point, because a 1.6 average would mean that he would be most likely to finish in qualifying 2nd instead of 1st. You have to round up your decibels.
But
let's go on board with Airpack, because that's the man we're all talking about. That's the man that we expect to do well and perform. He cannot win the championship this week, but if he puts in a good shift, he can definitely secure the bag in the next weekend, because we only got 4 more rounds to go. 2 of those are announced and 2 of those are not announced yet. You know, we might have a little bit of a sneak peek as commentators wise, but to the public and the drivers, they do not have any knowledge yet. Airpack with a bit of a slide to the final corner, coming up towards the line now, and can he make that 1.6 average qualifying position come to use and put it up to pole? He can't. He puts it up into third place behind Keke and covers currently. Keke, who is in third in the standings, but if he has a good result, he puts himself up in second place because of Gabriel, his departure from the league. Covers, though, he's currently just a middleman and someone that Keke really likes being in second place, and Airpack, he just wants him out of there.
Airpack goes to third, covers splitting what is technically first and second in the championship. Although Gabriel is still second points-wise, Keke is the second place challenger, I suppose you could say. 126.1 is his current lap. He wasn't too confident about his pace heading into this evening. That's not too shabby at all. We've got 19 laps on the board in the first phase of qualifying. That's quite good. That's quite good going for an F123 league race grid. The only man who's not set a lap yet, that is Lewis for AlphaTauri. His AlphaTauri teammate Max currently up to 5th position. Of course, your Italian Grand Prix winner Max. What an impressive race it was for him in Imola. Wasn't able to necessarily repeat it in Spa, but Spa was a really, really messy affair. It's was very difficult to repeat anything in Spa. You couldn't really keep any form of momentum unless your name was Airpack, who still took a podium despite being absolutely screwed over from a strategy perspective because we had rain so late in the race. And even when the rain came out, it wasn't wet enough, so they had to box for slicks anyways because they didn't serve the mandatory pit stop. If you didn't watch the Belgian Grand Prix, I'd recommend you go and do that because it was an absolute stunning race. Not until we're finished here in Saudi Arabia. We enjoy having your company in the stream chat, and if you want to let us know your thoughts on this evening, want to let us know who you're rooting for, who you're rooting against maybe, let us know in the stream chat. Of course, we'll be happy to read out any comments. But we're almost halfway through qualifying, not quite there yet, almost. It's currently Keke on top, 126.180. Timon, will we see much quicker laps than that, or are we already around the peak?
Oh no, we should get like probably half a second quicker. I would assume track evolution is going to be quite big, and let's see if Dark can make use of that because he's the first man to start his second lap time, going through the first two corners and absolutely nail that. And folks on the exit coming out of there, we saw Max Verstappen when he was on that amazing lap time get very close to the wall here. Don't want to hit the inside of that wall. I mean, we've seen it go wrong in F1 esports previously. You could easily pop off your tyre right there. Then keeping as much momentum in there. Do not ride this curb on the left-hand side. You will get fully sent off. It will not be nice. Dark as first sector. We've already flown through there. All of those corners too quickly to name off. 1/10 improvement currently. So already with this improvement, he will be going up towards 4th place. But now he needs to remain improving on that lap time. Now coming up towards turn number 16. Flat, not a flat right-hander. It's nearly flat. I mean, you want to absolutely send it as close to the wall as possible. And so goes for the next real corner. I mean, we've got a few twists, but they're all easy flat. And now coming up towards his left hand, I'm going to get as close to the wall as possible and not invalidate on the outside. Absolutely nailed it by Dark. Let's see what the second sector split will be, because I do believe that sector split is right there. It's not actually. It seemingly has changed from the last time I did proper league racing. Coming up towards the final corner, let's see if he does do a Max Verstappen. Misses the apex slightly there, but he doesn't do a Max Verstappen. Let's see what he can do now when he comes up towards the line. I think he can definitely jump his teammate, at least not a short line, coming towards the line, and it is 4th place. Get that 1/10 improvement that he had in Sector 1, Dark, up to 4th.
Yeah, didn't go for that shorter line. That was an interesting one. You usually see drivers keep to the left-hand side just to minimise the run to the start-finish line. We saw Logan Sargent actually invalidate a lap by doing that, so maybe just a little bit of nerves for Dark in that case. Backy's invalidated his next run. Let's see what his Haas teammate can do heading through Sector 1. Oh, vicious off the right-hand curve, heading through the sector split. He's down on his time, but he is looking to try and seek an extra bit of pace out of this Haas car. Timer says we're going to go much quicker. Let's see, can these drivers deliver? Yep, they can. Noel goes to the top. 126.0 right on cue. Maybe we can have two Williams in the fight here this evening. Noel quickest so far in qualifying. Next across the start-finish line would have been Backy, but he has invalidated his time, so it's going to be one of two McLarens. Here comes Nicolope, bit of a slide through the final corner. He's bolting it towards the timing beam. Let's see, how quick is he going to break it? It's going to be a 26.1. That's good enough for the second row on the grid. Up to third goes Nicolope. Keke found a tenth of a second for the first sector. He's currently improving enough for provisional pole position. OP covers, heading for the final corner now. Slides the rear slightly. Wasn't finding enough time in the middle sector. Let's see, can he find some here for the final sector? Covers across the line, goes to third. Jumps up and beats Nicolope. G-League Ethan goes to fifth. Next across the line, who is it going to be? I believe it's going to be the Ferrari of Johan as we pop down the order. Here comes Johan. He's going to jump up to 14th only. Not quite much of an improvement there. Diogo Silva goes to 13th. Leo off the track on debut, unfortunately there for him. Here comes Spicer towards the start finish line. He's going to jump up to 5th spot. Great lap there from Spicer. Skyline invalidated. He's going to go again here in qualifying here for Saudi Arabia. Keep an eye on Airpec as well. Keke slides it through the final corner. Gets really close to the Aramco sponsorship on the right hand side. The finishman now breaks the beam and he's going to stay second. Noel has the number on him here in the second part of qualifying, but Airpec out of sync once again, so he's still on a push lap. He's found a 10th in the first sector. Not enough for Paul, but tracking well.
Yeah, meanwhile, Zane is coming towards the line. Keke already driving his PB, so peaking at the right moments for him. Zane coming towards the line, small improvement for him. Very small improvement, 1,000 of a second. But it is a 10th improvement already from Airpec, so let's go on board with him. A little bit of a tap on the wall there. But it's a lot of traffic there. It's a Red Bull getting out of the way just in time. Didn't block it, maybe even helped him, gave him a little bit of a slipstream, but only the help him by the finest of margins. Missing the left side apex a lot there. This is not an ideal lap from Airpec. Let's see what the improvement currently will be when he crosses the end of the lap. Coming up towards this final corner right here. I've seen a lot of drivers be very slidey through here, but Airpec's car is in fine control. Seemingly, he has tuned this car more towards the race, because I saw drivers like Leo in P17 sliding like crazy in those final turns, but he goes up towards third place. Airpec, it's a 26.1, and you'd have to think with that turn 22-23, he can certainly still make a massive jump forwards.
Yeah, if he can just seek out that little bit of time, he may be able to jump to the top of the order. What you said is very interesting in terms of setting your car up for the race. I was commentating on another league and another driver, neither will be named. They set their car up for the race purely, ran like 4 or 5 wings or something like that. Won the race. A monster on a straight line. Straight line speed is key around this Jeddah Corniche circuit here, especially in a tier as close as this. 0.031 separating the top two here in qualifying. It is a Williams 1-3 so far. But it is not the championship leader on top. It's Noel who is on top. Very impressive in Qatar was Noel. Slightly lackluster since then, but this is a very good showing from the Williams.
Definitely, I mean, the Williams pair doing well, and Noel, it will be interesting to see, because they're not esports teammates, but they are car teammates, and I wonder what the communication has been between those two, Noel and Airpec, because Airpec probably needs the points, and Noel, I mean, he definitely wants to win. He's showing that he's got the pace for it. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do for it. Meanwhile, Mao is still on a lap time. Let's see what he is going to do. Is he going to pull into the pit lane and go for another lap afterwards? Or is he going to stick it out there? It would assume that he's picked the softer set of tyres. But he heads into the pit lane, deciding not to finish his lap time. And knowing that he can do better, this does give him an opportunity to go again. Mal will probably be the last person to set a lap time, because it will be tight for him. So they will have a quicker out lap. So interesting to see with the brake dragging if you can get everything fully up to temperature. But from this point onwards, it's just a waiting game to see who will be the first man out. And it will actually be Lewis, because I was thinking it's going to be people on an out lap currently waiting all the way on the top of the track in turn 13, but Lewis already in the first sector, seeing if he can improve, because he desperately needs to make that improvement. It's a 27.6 for him, so he's over 1 second off the pace, but he is very much risking it, so very close to the walls already in sector 1, and it seems to have been a very solid sector 1 split for him right there. Let's see what he can do so far. It is a 6.5 tenth improvement, rounded up to 7. Let's see what he can do now through to 13. Not too early on the throttle. And let's hope he doesn't get blocked, because he has gone very early. And I don't know if any of the drivers really know that he is on that lap coming in towards turn 16. It's a nice corner again. It seems like a very clean lap for Lewis. But I mean, all laps should look very solid for us, Evan, because we are not that quick. It is a little bit of traffic, but not blocked by the biggest of margins. That Haas is going out of the way just in time. There's a car right in front of him again. A little bit of dirty air, though. It does block him. Block him, and there he goes. Yeah, I mean, it was expected. It was a Williams, actually.
It's the poleman.
It was Noel, I think.
Yeah, it's the man currently sat on pole. That won't have any effect for this race, but certainly that could have an effect for the next one. Could easily get a qualifying suspension. He might have rear wing damage as well, but I don't believe that setting is turned on in PSGL, but it's a Codemasters game at the end of the day, and I think Keke is just... No, Keke's not blocked anyone, because the only man who's not currently on an outlap is Mal. Here we go, the Noel tees up and starts his final qualifying run. Keke and Airpec way behind. Cover's going to get a bit of a slipstream off the Williams of Noel in towards the first corner. Noel certainly is... He's not going to be a bubble of confidence at the time being, because every little mental effect can unfortunately come back to haunt you a bit in qualifying, especially when you get to the stages like this. But flicking it through the lefts and rights, it is uber cool. It is unbelievably smooth from Noel. That's a phenomenal first sector. If this isn't improving, I don't know what you can do that will be improving. Yeah, he's found time. Really good first sector from Noel. Nico Lopez been given a 5-place grid penalty, which means we most likely will have a restart after this one. But here comes Noel then, heading in towards turn number 16. Right and left, close to the wall, gets right up towards the Rolex sponsorship. This is a great time so far from Noel. What about Covers? We'll keep an eye on him as well as they head towards turn 22. The Williams has been very good in qualifying on previous attempts. He's even better here in Saudi Arabia. He's ramping it up and heading towards the final couple of corners. Covers was improving for pole, but he's invalidated. Awful for Covers. He was finding time in the right places, but pole will not be his. Noel heading through the final couple of corners now, very close to the Aramco sponsorship on the right hand side. But here comes the Williams. What can he do across the timing beam? 1:25.9, the time to beat for everybody here in PSGL F2. Max finding time in the middle sector. Airpec will keep an eye on him as well. He's just coming up to the first sector split. Skyline goes 8. Airpec purple. Airpec's found time. Keke heading into the middle sector as well. Definitely keep an eye on the finishman. He likes to just sneak his way up there. He's hoping to do something similar here this evening. Max not finding time now. It's his teammate Lewis that's heading towards the start-finish line, as is Fede now coming towards the timing beam. Let's see what he can do. There's not going to be an improvement for Fede here in qualifying. He is done. How is Airpac treating this final sector? Here we go, close to the wall on the left-hand side. That's much better than his middle run. He's got much closer there. Keke into the final corner. Finishman going to get a slight distance toe off his teammate Macho. Can he go to pole here in PSGL F2? Across the line goes Keke. No, he's just shy. He is just shy by about 0.5 of a second. Couldn't quite do it. Here's the championship leader. Can he prove himself the best by far here in Saudi Arabia? Across the line goes Airpac. Bang! He's on to pole. What's a lap from Airpac? Steals it right at the death. Mal jumps to 4th for Red Bull. That's why he's the championship leader. That's why he's the champion elect. Airpac is on pole for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Wow. He performed right when he needed to do it. Airpac getting himself on that pole position. It's a Williams front row. Airpac and Noel. By the way, there has been a confirmed restart, so we do not need to really hurry with all those grid positions. But Keke in third place, he did what he needed to do, and is at the maximum that Keke could have done. I mean, he beat his PP from what he said in the Discord. Could of course always be lying about that, but it seemingly has been a very good lap from Keke. We got Johan and the McLaren of Nicolopi, who have got 5-place grid penalties. Don't look at those, they will be removed. Meanwhile, we got Mao in 4th. I mean, I wouldn't say my prediction was all that far off. It's a bit of a bubble for the top 4. They're within 1/10 of each other. And besides that, it's a bit further away. We got Ethan, Dick and Govers. Dick and Govers, these two OP guys. I expect a little bit from them because I think they will be strong in the race. And we got Nicolopi in 8th, Spicer in 9th, Max in 10th. Then we got Skyline, Dark, Johan, Fade, Leo, Zane, Jogo Silva, Bucky, Macho, and then we got Lewis with 1.7 seconds off the pace in 20th.
Folks, we'll be back after a short commercial break. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PSGL. We are not going straight into the racing action here this evening, unfortunately. We are heading for a restart due to grid penalties, of course. So we'll go back to the camera screens just like we did in Japan. We'll have a little bit of a chat about qualifying. I did manage to get photos of the qualifying results so we can have a little bit of a grid rundown. Timon, of course, predicted pole from Mao, and Mao didn't get pole in the end, but still a very good performance from Mal in qualifying. He outdid his average. If you heard start lights, by the way, don't worry about that, that's just my PlayStation controller. But yeah, it was still a good prediction from Timon, because Mal's average qualifying position this season it's not quite fourth. He is down, and I'm just going to read it off here. His average qualifying position is 7.5. So Timon, that's not a bad prediction at all.
I mean, I never make bad predictions. I mean, if you give me one example of it, I would say you're lying. But no, I mean, it's been a good lap from him, and I know last time round I commentated on him on this track. He won this race. I don't know if this was last game already, but I do know he did like that, and he was prioritizing Formula 1 over an iRacing grind. But everyone is starting to load back in already now. I don't think it will take very long. And Evan, you're too scared to handle this Jeddah Street Circuit time trial app, because you've also joined the lobby. Oh,
I'm not too scared. Just in case you're not all aware, by the way, I'm a PSGL winner around Saudi Arabia, 14th to 1st. It's not for the weak hearted. Not scared of this circuit in the slightest. Could take on Jan Altmaier on his day, but no, I don't want to delay us. That's why I've joined the lobby. I want to get the race started. It should be fantastic action. But yeah, we've got a good race coming up. Of course, a very interesting qualifying, great qualifying in the end. We also have a debutant this evening. I feel he deserves his word on the air. We have Leo Tonelato. It's an Italian name. I'm not Italian. I've butchered it. He's a 16-year-old Italian from Parnell Racing. Certainly a young up-and-comer prodigy to keep an eye on. Joined the league ahead of Belgium. Joined the tier, I should say. F2 ahead of Belgium. Didn't race in Belgium, so this is his debut here this evening. But yeah, we always love seeing new drivers to give us a new taste of what could be the future of F2, because of course last season's champion Jerry Van Bussel came from PSGL F5. I commentated on his first race in PSGL. Commentating on him winning the championship made me feel real old, I will tell you that for free. Of course, our current championship leader Airpec, he's come up the ranks as well in PSGL, but still has some work to do if he wants to win the championship. Timon, he starts on pole today. Is it going to be smooth sailing for Airpec, or is there a real challenge in the field this evening?
I mean, there's never smooth sailing, and I don't think there will be smooth sailing at Saudi Arabia in general. These many DRS zones do allow you to remain in that DRS strain. I mean, if there's ever a league race where you don't hear the phrase DRS strain from a commentator, your league either doesn't have a commentator, or something magical has happened, but or it's been raining actually. Yeah, but on this track, it certainly does allow for DRS strains, and normally it's the main thing that you see. So once you're in the lead, you obviously do not have DRS, and the main thing he should be worried about is that he doesn't get eaten up by 2 to 3 cars at once, because then you will be stuck in like a 4th position, and it will be a lot more difficult to make your way forwards. Qualifying showed that he had top 3. That was relatively quick. I think mainly Mali got saved by it because he went for the softer tires. Means that he had 4 sets of softs which he all used. So he would have been in a little bit of trouble with a late safety car. But now everyone's fixed up. Everyone has enough tires to go for the race again. And the grid is currently being sorted. Do you think Airpec will go have an easy victory again? Because certainly I doubt it.
No, I don't either. I think easy victory in Saudi Arabia aren't in the same conversation, to be quite frankly honest. Even if he does win by about 10 seconds, certainly not going to be easy, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he will be challenged purely due to the DRS and slipstream that's on a modern-day Formula 1 game. But Jeddah Corniche Circuit, of course, we'll give you a brief look at the track once again. You can see it on your screen now. The most corners out of any Formula one circuit, pardon me, with a grand total of 27. It's 6.179 kilometres and 3.836 miles, which is the second longest circuit in Formula 1 after last week in Spa-Francorchamps. 27 corners, 16 to the left, 11 to the right. The lap record does belong to Lewis Hamilton in 2021. Airpac will have a 220-metre run to defend in towards turn number 1. That's quite short compared to a lot of other F1 circuits, so it is quite a short run to the apex of the first corner. But this is the stat that you're going to love. 245 kilometre average speed around this Jeddah Corniche circuit, which debuted in 2021. Of course, construction finished on this circuit after it was released on the F1 2021 game. Construction on the circuit finished 1 week before we went racing for that, what's the best way I can put this, dramatic 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's been slightly simpler since, but yeah, still a circuit that can provide some absolutely unbelievable action. It's of course going to be a night race. It's going to be in the dry. Timon, what can you tell us about the strategy here this evening?
Is to not hit the wall, I do believe. Keep your wing and make positions forward.
Good point.
On a real note, ending on the medium tyres is normally the preferred strategy here. So I think most of the drivers will probably go for an easy, harder, medium strategy. Although I am not actually a strategic master on Saudi Arabia. It's a track that I certainly, as an engineer, somewhat struggle with to nail down a strategy because the undercut's so powerful. But so you can gain a lot of positions, but you will be suffering later on because of the tire difference. But you need to just keep your positions and with an undercut. So I wouldn't be surprised if an undercut will work for today. But also don't be surprised if you see one or two drivers stay out for a really long time and then with an overcut make their way back through the field. But I do believe that the main strategy will all include mainly every single driver ending on the medium.
Yeah, the medium tyre, the one to be on here at Jeddah. Let us know down below, of course, folks, if you're watching in the stream chat, who you think is going to win this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Folks, we're getting ready to go. We'll be back for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix after this short commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Saudi Arabia. We've actually got the ad done before we've loaded in, so you have the beautiful thumbnail designed by Todd Designs on your screen. Make sure to check out our title sponsors, GT Omega, of course, and make sure to subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel for more fantastic races. What's coming up after this? Well, we head to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City, but not until we are finished in Saudi Arabia. We're pit lane side once again. And Timon, who is your prediction to win this one? We've discussed many winners, but let's have it out straight. Who's going to win in your eyes?
He needs to do it. He needs to win if he wants to keep up with his championship hopes. And I think Kake is that guy to win under these circumstances. He seemingly can deal with the pressure, especially already hitting his PB with like 210s in qualifying, putting himself up there in a situation when he really needs to do it. I think he just puts himself constantly in a good enough positions. I think he at least will score good points, but I won't be surprised if he does take the victory. But besides that, Jeddah is Jeddah. Everything can still happen and we can make guesses, but the only thing we know for sure is that it will be remaining dry this session. So we'll not be having any Jarno Opme-esque races where Jarno Opme just drives away with like 10 seconds compared to the rest of the field. So a nice dry race and certainly not boring.
Yes, it should be An absolutely fantastic race. Keep an eye on Diogo Silva as well in this race. He is usually very good in races compared to qualifying. 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And we go racing here in Saudi Arabia. Great race start from the Red Bull Amal heading in towards turn number 1. Keke looking for the outside of Noel. We head into the first right. We head through in towards turn number 3. That's a great move from Keke, the finishman. Already finding a spot and up towards second in this Grand Prix. The melee heads down towards turn number 4. 2 McLarens looking comfortable in 7 and 8, but it spies her around and spies her into the wall in the early stages in Saudi Arabia. And the safety car has already made an appearance before we reach the end of sector number 1. Spicer seemed to lose it on his own. He's rounding out of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Well, damn, that went quick. I was going to talk about Airbag, Keke and Covers all being on the soft tyres. Keke made that jump that he needed to make on those soft tyres indeed. But the only thing I'm thinking about now is, can realistically the hards make it towards the end of the race? I mean, with the safety car being there, you'll get at least 2 more laps for free. And can you get those hards 22 laps in? If you save them a little bit, that could be maybe a strategy option for Keke and Covers, but I do believe that they will just simply stay out. It's a shame that we get a safety car this way because we do not get any crazy strategy options. But yeah, we will just seeing everyone chill out. Actually, in theory, if the hards do make it, all the hard runners could pit, do 1 lap on softs, and then pit back towards the hard tyres again. But the safety car being out on track means that we'll just casually do 2 laps, and then we pretty much will have a 22-lap race instead of a 25-lap one, and we'll miss a Red Bull.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of people on Twitter wouldn't mind missing a Red Bull.
See what happened, or?
Partially. It just looked like a spin to me, heading through 4, completely lost it in the entry to 5, and out of the race for poor Enelor Spicer. Very interested to see only 3 drivers go for the softs, and first and third being included in that. Now, of course, Airbag and Keke are esports teammates as well, and that means they're going to realistically have similar ideas. The strategists, if they have them, will be fairly similar, and obviously Noel Parnell Racing will have a very good strategist as well. That's without a doubt. But we'll see what happens. So maybe starting on the soft is hinting to us that a soft medium is the way to go in this Grand Prix. It is possible. I know it's possible around Zandvoort. I know it's possible around another couple of circuits. I haven't seen it firsthand in Jeddah, but the one Jeddah race, I've commentated on 2 Jeddah races. One had 1 safety car, smooth running to the end. The other had 5 and a lobby crash with 3 laps to go. So I don't really know what to expect here this evening, considering we've had such an early safety car. But this is going to help from a fuel perspective. It's certainly going to help Airpec, Keke and Covers, because they can go further into the race on this Pirelli soft compound tyre. But let us know down below your thoughts on the opening phases. Let us know who you're rooting for, who you're cheering for. Avatar says, if there is a race like this with safety car, it is difficult to predict the winner. Absolutely spot on. I couldn't agree with that more. In terms of your race positional swap, your biggest gainer, Baki, somehow managed to get 4 spots out of the first 3 corners. He's your biggest gainer so far in this Grand Prix. Your biggest gainer, or your biggest loser I should say, is of course without question Enelor Spicer, who is down 11 and out of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But in terms of your non-DNF car, it's Fede, who's only down 2, so it's not the end of the world for Fede. And of course he has pitted. I
would give Baki a lot of credit for gaining those 4 positions, but that is because 4 people made a pit stop. Fede Macho, Diogo Silva, all pitted towards the medium set of tyres. They could now either do a medium strategy or pit a bit back to the hards and try to push them towards the end. Safety car will now most likely be on the last lap, and I'm just slightly looking on board to see what they will be doing. Zane is pitting now, so he's going 1 lap later onto those medium tyres, so he will have a 1 lap advantage over the rest. But everyone else will likely be doing a medium strategy towards the end, and everyone else, I mean, with that, Fede, Macho, Diogo Silva, and Lewis. And Zane now into pit lane and will obviously be going towards a set of the yellow wooled tyres, aka the mediums. So far, still having to wait for it to happen. Probably need half the lap to be done still, and then we get a safety car restart. And I like safety car restarts a lot on this track.
because you do not have a significant corner you can do it out of. Because the final corner being very wide, it does give you an easy opportunity to have a good exit. And if you, as a second place runner, line your car up properly, you can always be there and attack the leader up into turn 1. So safety car restarts are something that is going to be very interesting. Will Epic be going very early, very late? I mean, Epic and Keke are both in the softs. So I would presume that they would go relatively early, but we will have to see what happens. But also, definitely keep an eye out on covers, because he needs to make a move on Mal and Noel quickly to remain in the DRS train of Epic and Keke.
And another thing is, you're saying you like safety car restarts, which I do as well, but what makes this one really interesting is we've had literally no indication of the pace of these cars. None whatsoever. The first couple of corners of our race are not an indication of how this pace is going to be. So we have very mixed in terms of tyres. Covers is realistically going to get past Mal and Noel, and it's going to be they're going to jump up to P3. And Noel will drop to 4 and Mal possibly to 5. But we'll wait and see, because anything can happen in Formula 1, and that's of course the famous Murray Walker's phrase, but I like to add a little bit of spice onto it. Anything can happen in Formula 1. If it'll happen in Formula 1, it'll most certainly happen in a league race. So let's see what does happen here then. Irpek is going to surely wait until he exits 27 and goes on to one of the longest straight line bits on the circuit. There's a lot of straights, but they technically have curves in them. So onto the straightest bit on the circuit. Irpek goes midway through the final corner. We go racing once again here in Saudi Arabia. Great race start from Irpek. He's got a huge launch. Covers now, tucked up behind Mal, heading in towards turn number 1. Here comes the Haasman. It's going to be last of light breakers into the first corner, but the Haasman has that one fairly easy. We thought he might, of course, being on that soft compound tyres. The Alpine heading through here looking for a spot on Johan, but Mal has actually fought back, and Covers, despite being on the soft compound tyres, has lost out to the feisty Red Bull heading for the first sector. Mal wants to get some good points for Red Bull. His teammates already down and out of this Grand Prix after a collision through that section on the first lap. There's no holding back from Mal. The Kosovoan wants a good result here in PSGL. Covers still trying to pressure in towards turn number 8, but all safely through on the first lap. That's a great restart from Irpek. He leads in Jeddah.
Both soft runners pushing like crazy now. It seemed like Covers made him a little bit of a mistake, and Mal does not like that because there's already 1.2 second gap between himself and the Williams driver. But I found it a very poor safety car restart from Keke. Meanwhile, Covers going up the inside. Hey, I mean, if it's inside, it's going to be outside later on, but eventually it will be the inside. Covers, though, making that move, going back up to 4th, and he now needs to carry that whole hard train back up towards the leaders. But I found it a very poor safety car restart from Keke. He seemingly was not awake enough, and he left Airpack a 6/10 gap even before he went onto the throttle. There was seemingly no communication, which does eliminate the fact that they will be working together in this race. I think it will be a pure rivalry between the two Never Last Racing teammates in esports teams. Noel, though, he's keeping up very nicely, but he's burned through a lot of ERS, a lot more compared to Keke, and Airpack has already also burned through 50% off of his ERS. So that means that all of these drivers are pushing like absolute crazy, and Covers, though, he is now having to push a lot to get back in towards that DRS train. Up again in sector 1, losing a slight bit of time, but he has driven himself successfully back into the DRS train, and he needs to worry now that Noel doesn't just fall out of it.
Yeah, but the thing about Noel is he's got to burn the battery now, because once the DRS is active, he'll be able to keep up with it. Here comes the two outplayed racing drivers side by side into the banked corner. There's a bit of contact between the two. Dirk very lucky to not spin himself or not spin the car in front of him. Now Skyline introduces himself into the battle. The Alfa Romeo trying to get the job done on the McLaren. Oh, McLaren's on a horror run heading through 16. Dirk losing time in this middle sector. Those hard tyres not really working well for the McLaren. The two Alfa Romeos are hunting him down. First is Skyline, then it's Starkey. He'd be very ambitious to go for the move into 22. He's going to try it into 27, you'd feel, and then try pick up the toe. There's a swap for the race leader, actually. Apologies. Keke is your new race leader. It's a DRS overtake into the final corner. Potentially tactical from Airpec. We will wait and see, though. Dirk and Skyline side by side. Skyline went for it. Was not successful in his endeavour. Apologies. It wasn't a DRS overtake for the race lead. DRS was not active, so that shows you how powerful Slipstream is alone. Add DRS into that, and we have a whole different ball game. But Airpeck is now down to second. Keke, your new race leader. Lots of battles throughout the field, as Macho even looking for spots on our debutant Leo. Leo driving well in 14th on the hard tyres. He's behind Fede, who's already made his mandatory tyre change in this race. He can go for another set of mediums, another set of softs, or another set of hards come his next pit stop, which you'd be inclined to assume that he will make one more pit stop in this race. Alfa Romeos currently sit 10th and 11th still. They weren't able to make a move on Dirk when we jumped to the battle for the race lead. That's all kept stable in the mid-pack. Covers slowly closing in on Parnell Racing's no, because he does not have the DRS advantages. Covers has not only the DRS advantages, but Slipstream as well.
I think Evan made a mistake in sector 1 because he was on an 8.5 gap behind him, but you can even go on board with him from 8.5 tenths. Airpeck will just be able to drive himself fully probably towards the back end of Keke's car. You need to realize now that Airpeck is not using any DRS because ERS, excuse me, because he is trying to save some of that back up. That's just the power of DRS alone. And Slipstream without even using any of the electronic systems. Meanwhile, Skyline has made that move past Dirk. Dirk, riding a lot of these curves already early on into this race. And we see an overtake there. Covers going up the inside of Noel, and immediately Mal going with him there, nearly sending it up the back end of Covers, and now around the outside goes Noel again, but it's a good comeback from Mal, and Mal saves his position, and he keeps himself up towards 4th place, going with Covers, doing what needed to be done for his sake. And that's what I said, you can lose one position on the straight, it's not that bad when you're up the lead, but once you lose 2 positions, you are in a little bit more trouble, because then you need to overtake someone who also has DRS himself. Covers now has a gap of 2.3 seconds towards the guys ahead of him, and those soft tires are surely going to be declining a little bit quicker than you might expect. Of course, we've had 2 to 3 laps of safety cars, but that doesn't mean that those soft tires drop off oh so quickly. And I think normally they do after like 5 laps. So I think Covers will still be a good lead up for Mal, but Mal needs to take over probably on the next lap already.
Yeah, Covers is in a dogfight with hard tyre runners. It's not the fight he would have wanted, and he's going to struggle to catch up to our front 2. Here comes Mal trying it round the outside. Covers won't mind this really, because it means he'll have DRS for the next straight, but Mal is just purely forced into the move. If he lifts off, there is a Williams up his inside. Covers has to go defensively. Noel looking for this one as well. Noel was overtaken twice last time round. There's a swap for the race lead as well. Airpeck is going to go for the race lead, heading in towards turn number 1. That's a simple DRS pass. This one not as simple in the background. Noel looking for this one. There's a late move by the Haas. Covers up the inside of Mal. Mal goes across the chicane. The Kosovoan is forced off the chicane. Has he made it? No, he's gone into the wall. He's gone straight on. Noel and Covers with big dives up the inside. Noel had to sit back. Covers still went for it. Gilles Ethan promoted to 4th here in this one. Noel 5th. Max in 6th. Heartbreak for the Kosovoan and Mal. He falls down to 19th position. And that is awful running for him. He doesn't really stand a chance at getting the same good result in this race if we stay on the green flag running. Safety cars may come to assist him in the later parts of the Grand Prix, but for now that is agonising for Mal. Red Bull 1 out of the race, 1 down to 19th, not looking like a good point haul from the team based in Milton Keynes.
Massive shame for Mal, because he's seemingly at very good pace already in this race. Covers maybe a little bit of a too desperate move, because he was afraid that he would have been eaten up by hard runners the other way around. But now he has G-League Ethan behind him. Skyline, meanwhile, making that move on Nicolopi very easy on a place you wouldn't expect it, especially if the car ahead of you has that DRS. But I'm on board with Max here, because it's a 4-man train, and Max is in the perfect opportunity to see it all. It is again a move between Airpeck and Keke, but those simple moves there. It's 3 wide coming in towards the final corner. It is chaos, it is crazy, but no one really wants to make a move just yet there. G-League Ethan currently in the lead, but now we need to watch out to see what happens there. It is side by side already between Airpeck and Keke. Airpeck back into the lead. Covers though goes past the G-League Ethan again. Up the inside goes Noel. So there you go. You're again losing out on 2 positions. And Noel is able to do it around the outside. Still side by side coming in towards the real start of Sector 1. Now unfortunately DNFing there. But G-League Ethan keeping his 4th position, going a little bit wide again. A poor exit, and Goff was able to run away slightly. Noah unable to overtake in that sector 1 split right there. You just simply cannot do anything there. Dark also making this pit stop. He's the first one to have gone in, and he has fitted a new set of mediums, but everyone fighting at the same time, and the gap is already 3.9 seconds towards Epic and Keke. So what I was saying is that there was going to be a big change maybe in the championship standings because of Gabriel's disappearance, but it seems like the big change in the championship will just get extended by one more race, because Epic and Keke seemingly are just going to be flying away and driving up towards a 1-2 position. The question is, how will they deal with the traffic once they pit? Because they will eventually have to pit a little bit before the other ones, and they will be trafficked. But if they can move through that traffic nice and clean, I don't think there's anything that can stop these two boys unless they screw it over themselves and collide with each other, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton style.
It is a battle and a half in the mid-pack. It was shown on... hold that thought. Ethan with a huge tank slap right at the final corner. He's under threat from Noel, heading down towards turn number 1. There was an Alfa Romeo, got damaged at Dark. We saw him come to blows with 2 McLarens. There was a Ferrari close to the wall, not once but twice here, as we enter lap number 10. Ethan just falls to 5th, could have been easily into the wall and out. There's yellow flags as well. That's Jesus Zane, who's gone round in the first sector. The Aston Martin coming to blows with either another car or with the wall. It's one or the other really around Saudi Arabia. Covers has finally dropped these hard tyre runners out of his DRS. That should have happened 3 or 4 laps ago. He's put himself in a rough spot here in PSGL F2. What a race this is so far though here in Saudi Arabia. We still have well over half of it to go. There is a DRS train all the way down to 15th spot from 4th. It is Zane, or it's Lewis at the back of the train, I should say. It's Noel at the front of it, and Noel's got backward in DRS of Covers. Covers needs to burn some battery heading down this back straight. Noel doing the same thing. Noel knows he's going to be a sitting duck heading in towards turn number 27 and turn number 1 if he can't get into the DRS here. And he is, to be fair to him. There's a straight line speed deficit on that Haas, it seems, because Noel is closing down time. He's got to get the DRS here. There's a swap for the race lead once again. They're just towing each other and working together. But here we go then. Battle resumes. Fede on the outside of Dirk, heading in towards 27. The Alfa Romeo makes a defensive move in front. He's actually hit behind, and there is a Conga effect in towards the side of Max van der Geest. He spins round, gets hit by the Alfa Romeo Skyline. You could smell that one coming from a mile away. Both Alfa Romeos now have damage. Skyline into the pit lane. Noel passes Covers. He barely got one in DRS. He's now ahead of him in towards turn number 1. Crazy scenes. They're still side by side. Soft tyres versus hard. Probably at level pegging at this point. Johan now still side by side. We're 3 wide in towards turn number 4. They've all just held and fallen into line nicely to make sure they survive the rest of this lap. It's not looking like many of them will survive to the end of this race. You got to just do everything you can to win this survival of the fittest. Just remember, Fede, of course, has already done his mandatory stop. He's in a fantastic position. It's a very similar race that he's running to Thales in Austria. Of course, the Brazilian that day pit for a set of the mediums after a lap 1 collision. Fede was not in a lap 1 collision, but he did pit from the back, and he's now up to 7 on a superior tyre to all at this point in the race, except those on the same tyres to him and those who are at the back just after making a pit stop. Keke, though, 1/10 of a second behind, heading through 22. These two are just going to work together again. They're slowly but surely gaining a couple of tenths of a second on the back of the pack, and you can see the finishman goes around the outside of his Italian colleague and gets the job done. It's these mad lads who are battling for 4th that are causing all the problems. Battling for 3rd, actually. I correct myself, because Noel is still in this one, of course, the lead hard tyre runner. Can't imagine that's going to last for much longer, though, as we can see Keke into the pit lane, but he's had a huge slide heading into the pit lane. Very lucky to save it. Covers follows suit. Undercut attempt from the finishman and from the Haas driver of OP Covers.
Keke. Why did you scare us like that? Because that was dangerously close to getting some damage or risking his race there. If that snap would have been the other way around, it would have been a lot more trouble. But Keke coming out in a relatively nice patch of clean air, and one car up ahead of him is Zane, but that gap is already near 7 seconds long. Besides, I haven't really seen anyone pit for damage besides Macho. He has been someone who has been in the pit lane because of that sad damage. And since then, he swapped towards the soft tyres, and I would not realistically be surprised if he does DNF on a latter stage. But I do think we will get Airpack in the pit lane next lap round, and now it's a question of when will the hard tyres respond to this, because obviously they want to get an advantage on those better medium tyres later on. But the question is, how big of an advantage, how big of an undercut do you allow these drivers to have? Because Covers and Keke will be absolutely flying compared to the rest of them. And Fede, he's proof of how much those mediums are working, because he is back up towards 6th place and he was all the way down in 19th at one point in time. So, yeah, they're just absolutely pushing. I think Keke is going to go for an easy move on Johan again right here. It's going to be a pit stop then for Dirk. Dirk is responding onto those hard tyres. He is the first man to go for it again. A big slide from him. He has destroyed the pit lane entry board, and it's McLaren's that are double stacking, which I do not think is the correct strategy right here, right now. Fede not able to get a move on past Johan, but Johan is sliding like absolute craziness. Both McLaren's small double stack from them. Hopefully they didn't lose all that much time. I'm actually looking at Baki right now if he can make that move, and he does indeed make that move. So it was a double stack. It was a poor team decision from McLaren, but from this one onwards, you have to see what happens. I think Max is the next person to maybe even retire from the session. No, he's actually continuing in 18th, so that is a good sign. And Airpack continuing as well, so going for a better tyre advantage later on in the race compared to Keke, and allowing Keke to go for that undercut.
Yeah, he's leaving himself vulnerable, but obviously feels the tyre advantage is the better option and is more beneficial in the long run. Fede slowly closing down on Johan. The great thing about Fede here is he's put himself in the exact same pit phase, the exact same strategy as everyone else, but he can also go onto the mediums. He doesn't have to do what usually a medium starter doesn't go for softs or hards. He can go on to another set of mediums if he wants. He can also split the two Ferraris and go up to 4th place. It's a simple DRS pass for Shizou Fede, but it could be a crucial one. Nevertheless, the Italians are putting on a bit of a show here in PSGL this evening. As you can see, one comes into the pit lane. You can see G-League, Ethan and Noel. Oh, double stack for Williams. Oh, Williams have made the same mistake McLaren have. It is a blunder by both British teams. It is a double stack for Williams. Ethan comes into the pit lane, Johan stays out, Fede comes in as well, and Zane stays out. So Aston Martin at least have found some success in their strategy. Is Noel going to be okay, or is he going to lose a spot? He's going to lose a spot to G-League Ethan. But Keke, way ahead of Airpack here in this Grand Prix. We are well over the halfway mark at this point. The gap is 4.5 seconds. What an undercut by the finishman of Keke.
That's what I was saying. The undercut's absolutely massive here, but the tyre degradation difference will have a massive impact on this race at a later stage. I mean, I'm surprised honestly that Fede went in so early, because I would have expected him to stay out for longer, push on for those 2 more laps, and then gone back out on a later stage. Noel, I was surprised he even got blocked with a 4.5 second gap difference. That is quite a lot. So I think it could have been a poor pit stop from Airpack in general, that he maybe red timed his pit stop, but I would be unsure of that. Keke already making a move past Zane. I mean, those tyres difference are absolutely incredible. And it's going to be 5.8 seconds that Airpack needs to make up. And he will also get Covers right behind him if Covers is able to drive himself in the DRS. Actually, scratch that off, he's on 0% ERS, so I don't think he is making that move anytime soon. Meanwhile, behind there, Dark, Skyline, Dirk, 3 wide to each other. Oh, it's a big contact there between the McLaren of Dirk and Dark, but they all survive there. Again, a little of a contact. Dark deciding to hit 2 Alfa Romeos in one corner, but he is flashing right now, and I think Skyline will be able to make an easy overtake on going up towards Zone 1. It's a huge pace difference, and there we go, later braking, and it should be all fine. Oh, the McLaren does come back though. And let's see now. And I think Dirk actually managed, indeed, to keep his position there. 2 lap fresher tyres compared to Skyline does give him that benefit of the doubt there and gives him that position. And now he needs to push on, because he damn well knows that he's got G-League Ethan, Noel, Fede and Leo all behind him trying to get past him. By the way, Leo, as a debutant, looking to be in a very good position currently.
Yeah, fair play, Leo. Could get points on debut here. Absolute brilliant effort from the Italian. currently 11th for Alpine. Bit of work to do still, but we still have one more pitter in this race. Unless Zane is trying to go to the end, which he genuinely could be. And he's probably just hoping that there's a lot of chaos behind and he can capitalise on that, which I mean is not the worst call in the world, especially when you're a driver like Shizu Zane, who currently sits 7th in the championship and is looking for his first win of the season. Got a podium. He did get a podium in Austria, but he's looking for his first win of the season. A lot of work to do to get it, because you have the fast Enelor Keke up front. Want to know who's even faster? Enelor Airpack. This is going to be the fastest lap. Watch. Okay, it wasn't, and now I look really silly, but he is the quickest man on the circuit, because the gap was 4.5. It's now 3.6 to the race leader. This is going to be a ding-dong to the end of the race. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a fabulous end to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Skyline gets past... Dirk gets past Skyline. G-League Ethan falls out of DRS and is under a lot of pressure from Noel. Noel, of course, has front-running pace. It was just a horrendous strategy call from Williams that has put him so far back. It was the double stack when both drivers were on completely different tyres. Noel definitely could have did one more lap, but I don't think he wanted to risk how big the undercut was. He currently sits 8th, and that's Dark, who's ran a little bit wide. Fede was looking for that one up the inside. The Aston Martin, no joy there. Oh, that was really close to the outside wall for Fede, but he just about avoids it. Airpack looking for the move on 2nd place, and he can start his adventure of closing down the race leader, heading through 22 and in towards 23. This is the sector of the track where Airpack was slowest. It was the final corner where he gained all his time for pole. Airpack up to 2nd position in this Grand Prix. Zane's going to try and keep with him for as long as humanly possible and tow along with him. But Keke, 3.1 seconds, and that's the gap he has to catch. Leo Tonelato goes up to 10th, overtakes VIO Dark for 11th position. Big lunge in the background for somebody. That was Baki past Johan. It's been a poor race from Baki's standards, but he is making moves still up to 13th. Dark now peels off into the pit lane. Maybe some damage for the Alfa Romeo, and he sped in, so that'll be confirmation of him retiring from the Grand Prix, and there you go. That's one Alfa Romeo out, meaning it's 2 Red Bulls and 1 Alfa Romeo out of this Grand Prix. Dark is out, Mal is out, and Spicer, of course, retired on the opening lap of this race. We haven't had a safety car since the opening lap, mind you.
I think he had damage because his AI did not change his wing. He just got overtaken by 6 cars on 1 lap because he was on 7 lap old mediums compared to ones where it's fresh mediums around him, and I think he just simply realised it's not worth it. I'm not going to be able to get any points here because he pitted already on lap 9, did an incredible undercut and did not gain as much as he wanted with it. Most likely that is what happened. But Max, though, for example, he's still going. He's 30 seconds behind. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? I mean, the worst thing that could happen is that you waste 20 more minutes of your time whilst you've already spent hours of practice. The best thing that could happen is a safety car. You get back in the race and score some points. But
sorry to jump over your time, and they're 3 wide into turn 22. G-League Ethan went for it into turn 22. Dirk is going for it as well. There's a train of cars heading down towards the final corner. Left and right and left and right. They wheel bang all the way to the final corner. Look at this. Oh, there's an Aston Martin almost gone in the wall. There's 2x2 heading through the final corner. It's too chaotic, realistically, for this. This is like a NASCAR slipstream at the Daytona 500. Here we go down towards turn number 1. Who's going to come out on top? Impossible to predict. The Alfa Romeo turns in for the corner, slows in the middle of the corner, while they're 3 abreast behind. They all bunch up. Noel, huge tank slapper, almost puts himself and Ethan into the wall. He slows into the corner, which of course results in 3 cars up his outside, heading in towards the next left-hander. Holds on firm here. Nicolope looking for this one around the outside of our debutant Leo, but he's not going to get that job done. Can't pull the wool over the Alpine's eyes that easy. And oh, sorry for jumping over your timer, but that was chaotic.
I don't know. I've just seen like 6 different scenarios in my head where not a single car got out of this without damage, and I think they all survived pretty much. And the great thing is we're probably going to get it all over again on the next lap, because we got Skyline up front with 7 lap on mediums, and we got Dirk on 5, Ethan on 4. So it means that everyone on quicker tyres is going to be behind them. So once the exact same situation happened, because no one's got DRS or like any ERS as well, everyone's flashing. No one has saved it up properly, and all this fighting has allowed also Airpack and Keke to continue like normal. And Airpack being back in the DRS train is something we have to watch out for later on. Currently still side by side go Skyline and Ethan. Still, it is still fairly clean with each other. But now, let's see who goes up on top, because I expect most of the drama to happen right here in turn 1. It is Noel going on the outside of Skyline. It is Ethan going up the inside of Dirk. And now it's still 2 by 2, fairly clean and calm, as we did not expect. Right here, Noel up there, trying to make that move. I think he's most likely to make a move, actually. And then he is the one to not make a move, still side by side here, but he needs to back out of there. G-League Ethan currently at 5th, and we got Dirk, Skylar, Noel, Fede, Leo, Baki, and Johan and Nicolopi. It is from P5 towards P13, all in this train, constantly battling with each other. But I think we need to put this battle on a little bit of the back burner, because Airpack has fully closed down a 5.8 second gap back down towards 2/10, and we got 6 more laps to go. Championship leader, the man who's second in the championship. I was going to say a word to it, but I forgot what I was going to say. P1 and P2 in the championship, fighting against each other for the next 6 laps, and an absolutely incredible fight down below. What more can you want? Jeddah always delivers.
Yeah, well, by the way, spent your Monday evening, folks. This is a corker here in Saudi Arabia, and it's just going to get better. Keke does not have a pace advantage, as Max is into the wall in the first sector. He was 29.9 seconds adrift, and now going to be well over 50, I'd say, by the time he comes in for a wing change. Further back, there's more battling as well. Airpack, I don't think, is going to go for the race lead here. No, he's not going to sit behind, so we can drop back to the NASCARs here in the background. Oh, they're 4 wide. They're 4 wide, heading in towards turn number 1. This is crazy. Look at this in front. Ferrari, McLaren, Alpine and Alfa Romeo side by side. It's finally ended in tears. It's Leo and Skyline. Horrible moment for Leo on his debut. He gets spun round by the Alfa Romeo. That went way too well for way too many laps. It was eventually going to crumble, and Skyline, can't turn the car, no end plate. And that is going to be, I imagine, a second Alfa Romeo DNF. As, there's been Noel, he's been kidnapped by the curb, heading in towards turn number 6. Noel has damage as well, I believe. Yeah, he does, he's missing the left end plate. So the Williams wasn't able to turn in for the corner, got kidnapped by the curb, heading in towards turn number 7. That's that curve on the left hand side. If you go across, if you put your skid board across it, it just completely sends you off the circuit, and that is what's happened there. The choo-choo train is dismantled for a 6th spot, but there's still a great battle coming on between 5th and 6th. And Nicolope's out. Nicolope is out. He's crashed on circuit. That is a McLaren out on the racing circuit, or has he? No, he's actually pressed the retire button. Oh yeah, he's pressed the retire button.
Was ghosted on my screen.
Yeah, he was ghosted as well.
Relatively slow.
I'm not sure.
And he hit the wall, but he didn't seemingly have any visual damage. Let's continue though, because I think Airpack is going to go for the lead right here, right now. These 2 race leaders are the full opposite compared to anyone else, but Airpack just wants to burn off the ERS of Keke and maybe sit behind and wait for the final lap. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Meanwhile, Dirk's going to go up for a water move compared to Ethan, sends it up the inside, and that's an easy move done by Dirk. Good, clean, and especially how we expect it to happen right here. Even trying to go for a little bit of a switchback there, but I think he damn well knows that that's not going to happen as well. Baki versus Johan side by side, and Baki has the inside line there, and you cannot do anything around the outside unless you've got some very, very big levels of trust in your car and are able to fully outbrake them around the outside. Meanwhile, we still got Jesus Zane, 18 Napoli mediums. I believe he did this recently as well, continuing for such a long time onto those medium tyres. They are so good, those mediums. He's just going and not stopping for the longest time. That's also why he waited for 1 lap longer to make that original pit stop during the safety cars. 18 Napoli tyres is a 10 lap tyre difference, and he's probably going to get absolutely eaten alive by this train. But I think if he can manage to get P9 from this strategy, he should be fairly happy with this. Meanwhile, again going on board, Keke and Airpack side by side, going to go for the first time again in many laps, and this time it's an easy overtake from Airpack on Keke, and I think Keke should be happy with that, because you do not want to be the leader going in towards the final lap. So it will be interesting to see what Airpack will be doing with his pace, because they have got quite a lot of time to play around Govers is still 2.1 seconds behind, but he has got absolutely zero ERS. It's all going down back there. It is Ethan Backy. It's all happening. Oh no! There Johan goes fully round on the straight and into VSC. Oh my days. Let's hope it's not a full safety car because that would turn the race fully around again. But it was all chaos on the straight and it's gone wrong again.
Full safety car. It's been upgraded. We've got a full safety car on lap 22 at 25 here in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It was bound to happen, realistically, Johan. And I'm not really sure who came to blows with, but there's certainly going to be some front wing damage elsewhere. And by the way, Lewis up to 8th. He was nowhere in qualifying, and he's just emerged in 8th spot. Great performance by him so far. There is not just front wing damage for the McLaren of Dirk, there is a lack of a front wing. It's completely gone. That's going to be a pit stop. Is there damage for Backy? No, he's got off scot-free, and so is the other Ferrari of Ethan, and then obviously the top 3 of Airpec, Keke and Covers were not in the battle. What happens here then? Is there going to be a mass entry into the pit lane for a set of soft tyres, or do people just risk it with the DRS? It's late in the race, but there's still, even if there was one lap to go at the end, there'd be enough time to make some overtakes around this Saudi Arabian circuit. So what do the top 2 here? Is it going to be a pit for softs? Are they going to stay out? They're entering in towards 27. No matter what the choice here is, Airpec is going to try dummy Keke into the wrong thing, I would imagine, unless it's a dead set strategy call that we're not sure of. Here we go towards the pit lane. Both in, both come in. Remember, you're not allowed to cross a white line in PSGL, so they're both committed to the pit lane, and they're both in for a set of the softs. What can Ethan do? Is Ethan going to stay out and try and risk it? No, Ethan comes into the pit lane, as does Backy. Obviously Dirk does. That man has negative downforce for the next lap and remainder of the race. Diogo Silva comes in as... No, hold on. It's a debut race for Leo, and he's going for broke. He stays out here on the mediums and leads in PSGL.
That is quite the strategy. I wouldn't have been surprised if even Zayn stayed out on those 19 lap old mediums, because I mean he was on a strategy where he pretty much like, screw it, I'm just going to stay out until these tires blow up, but instead everyone around him blew up. Leo is the one who starts the safety car, so I think Airback would have loved to start it, but if he stays behind them, he does have a DRS for the final lap. We at least got this lap to finish off the safety car. And then, so we will be having lap 24 and 25 of racing. So I think Leo is going to get absolutely swallowed by everyone. But with the ERS that you will have, you can use 50% of the ERS, so pretty much anywhere, you should be all fine. I do believe you burn like 70% of ERS on one lap if you use it as much as possible. So that means that they need to save 20% of ERS on both laps. It will be interesting to see what happens where. During we got the safety car, we can actually look at the most positions gained or lost. I always need to find that menu. But we got currently Leo plus 14, Backy plus 12, Lewis plus 13. We got Noel minus 10, for example. And besides that, we do not have any really big losers besides the people who have DNF'd, which are Nicolopi with minus 8, Max minus 7, and we already got the safety car in this lap. I was expecting it to go one lap later, but
gotta get 2 laps of racing.
Everything that we have been building up towards, it will happen right here, right now. Could be a massive changing point in this F2 season. Everyone, get your popcorn ready because this is about to go crazy.
This is going to be fantastic. No DRS. Does it even matter? We're going to have slipstream and battery at use. Leo, there's no really pressure on him because he's making his debut and he's leading with 2 laps to go. We go racing once again here in Saudi Arabia. Good restart from Airpec, got a good launch. Good restart from Keke, much better than the last time round. Heading in towards turn number 1. Macho as well, looking for moves in the background. You can see there's a McLaren alongside. Airpec goes for the race lead in towards the first corner. Down the inside goes to Williams. Pulls it off perfectly. Great move from Airpec. Keke's got to get the job done ASAP if he wants to win this race because Airpec is going to have a grip advantage tenfold on the Alpine here through the first sector. 8 tenths, nearly 9 tenths. Keke's race is falling from under him, and the Alpine's gone off. Oh, Leo goes off from hero to zero in a matter of corners. The Alpine rejoins in 5th, 1.4 seconds up the front. Airpack polish that trophy off, sunshine, because this one's as easy as done for the Williams racing man. Backy up to 5th as well. Leo is causing a huge schism in the field. He's causing a huge backlog heading through turn number 8 like rush hour traffic. And Zane looking for a move as well down the inside in this contact between Dirk and Lewis. Dirk runs into the back of Lewis. No front wing for the second time in 3 laps. Lewis keeps going damage free. Keke is gaining on Airpack. We thought it was all but done. He's not really gaining enough, however, but if he gets within 9 tenths, he can get slipstream advantages. Dirk goes for the move with no front wing. He's gone straight on. It's a melee here in the middle of the pack. Covers goes for second. G-League Ethan's going for it as well round the outside. Here comes the Scuderia Ferrari trying this one. Keke wants to stay in second, knows he needs it for championship points. Keke goes into the wall. The finishman nicks the outside wall through 27. Final lap of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Airpack leads it with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, just to give him an extra point to make things feel that much better. 3 wide in the background. Keke goes for the spot in towards turn number 2. There's still 3 wide here, and there's 2 cars off. Dirk almost misses the chicane. Zane has to go straight across it. They're still side by side into the middle sector. Airpack has this one sorted at the front. Leo falls down to 15th. From hero to zero, and even further than that on this safety car restart. Not really going to be a debut to remember for Leo.
Sector 1, I do not believe he's picked up damage. Unbelievably that he didn't pick up damage, but it was such a big hit there in the wall there. And let's hope for him that he didn't get the slightest margin of damage, but it seems like Covers is fully gone now. Already 6.5 tenths, but with the slipstream and the DRS, it could be enough to gain fully back up there again. Again, no DRS, and Ethan is fully up the back of Keke. Keke needs a good result to stay alive in this championship.
Yeah, he does. He needs to get this position. This needs to be a dive from the Mercedes into the final corner, but Covers is phenomenal through this part of the track, and Keke makes a mistake. Lucky to survive really here. He's going to take P3. Mightn't even be a podium necessarily. Covers is gaining and gaining, heading into the final corner on Airpack. It's too little too late. Backy dives up the inside. Can the Haas get the job done on the Ferrari? No, they're still side by side on the exit. Airpack comes towards the line. Champions perform like champions. Airpack performs like Airpack and takes the win in Saudi Arabia. Covers comes home second. Backy wasn't able to get it. Oh, look at this. Look at this in the background. It's almost dead even for 7th between about 3 cars. It was 0.001 between Ethan and Backy. That'll change a little bit. What a Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. In the words of Timon, Jeddah delivers.
Speechless again, such a late safety car and everything happening at the same time. I think we first need to talk about Leo. Man, he was leading the safety car restart, but with those tyre difference, you again lose a lot of positions. And unfortunately, because of some contact, he fully dropped, hitting the wall in sector 1, making that mistake in sector 3, losing him that second position and losing him a few points that loses him the best opportunity to go for that championship title. And Airpack doing everything that he needs to do to maintain his championship lead and build it out even more. And I do believe next week there should mathematically be an opportunity for Airpack to become the championship winner. Unless my math is very off, but I do believe it is correct. So, Govers, meanwhile, wait, Evan, you need to realise this. Do you remember which 3 drivers started on the softs?
Well, it was Airpack, Covers and Keke, wasn't it?
Exactly. I think this strategy on the softs, giving them that lead early, really helped them out in the end, because it just gave them such a solid gap. And with the undercut that Covers made, he was able to maintain his pace momentum fully up there. Let's just quickly go through the final standings. We've got Airpack, Covers, Keke, Ethan, Backy, Lewis, Dirk, Noel, Johan, Diego Silva, Fede, Skyline Macho, Zane, and Leo. And then the DNFs, Nicolopi, Max, Doug, Mal, and Spicer. How do you Spicer? Yes, you pronounce it that.
I think it's Spicer. Look, it's Spicer. We'll just go for that one. What a hectic Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia. Just reading the Discord, there's going to be a few stewards reports after that one. A couple of people not too happy with each other, to say the least, but genuinely, every lap that wasn't under safety car in that race was pure action. Obviously, there was crashes. There was some poor standards maybe in some laps. But overall, it was very good. It was very decent. Another shout out to Lewis, by the way. 20th to 6th and drove the last 2 laps with missing end plate. Phenomenal. Timon's asked for interviews. I don't think we're going to get any because unfortunately we don't get any from Airpec or Keke. Can't imagine we'll get any from covers either, unfortunately. But we'll give you a brief look at what we have next week as we head... Oh, apologies, that's the wrong graphic. As we head to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's going to be maybe not as hectic, but... oh no, hold on, we are going to get an interview from covers, actually. Fair play to Timon. But it's not going to be as hectic as the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but it still should be hectic as... yeah, Timon, what can we expect next week while I set up this interview?
I mean, Mexico, it is a track like Jeddah. It's got long straights, it's got long flowing corners. It just does have a few more tight and slower corners. So you need a little bit of extra wings to get that turning done in those slower ones. But it should relatively be the same kind of track. Expect Keke to do well. Expect Urbeck to do well. Expect other people like Covers. Expect everyone who did well this race pretty much to do well again. And I think maybe expect Mal to do well again because that Mal, he got in trouble really early on in the race and his pace seemed very promising. So I think that would be an opportunity as well for someone to be quick. But we have to look at it. But I think it's going to be a relatively similar race compared to what we had today. Hopefully not in the amount of crashes, but hopefully we do have the same kind of race in the amount of entertainment and exciting battles that we had.
Let's hear from the man who finished second in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix at OP Covers. Hello, Covers, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Congratulations, second place here in Saudi Arabia. An excellent result for yourself. It is, I know it's not your first podium of the season. You did get one in Brazil, which was also a fairly chaotic race. But it's good to have you back on the podium. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it was quite a hectic race. I think, first of all, quali was just really, really unfortunate. I think I was on for like a 0.7 or something, and then I just invalidated in the last sector in the first corner there, and then I started P7, I believe. So that was fucked up. And then afterwards, the race itself started on the softs. I think that was the best strategy to choose because, as you could probably also see, we had like a massive undercut, and then the guys behind us, they just couldn't catch up. And I think that I had quite good pace. I think I was catching Keke and Urpek as well. So yeah, then at the end maybe a little bit fortunate with the safety car. Keke made a mistake, so that's why I was pretty close to him in the last 2 laps. And yeah, it was still a fun battle as well with Keke, going side by side through the first two corners, I believe. So yeah, it was quite a fun race. I am though a little bit disappointed that I think I nearly killed Mal. I believe it was my mistake. I haven't watched it back yet, but I think I killed him, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So apologies to him, but yeah, for the rest, pretty good race, I think.
Yeah, it was a great race for you. To appreciate you owning up, by the way, in case you did kill Mal, because we don't get a lot of that nowadays in league racing. So I just wanted to give you our thanks for that, because that is good sportsmanship as ever. Next week we head to Mexico. A similar track in certain ways, very straight line, speed based. Do you have a good chance there?
Well, these last couple of tracks have been quite good for me. In Mexico, usually a track where, yeah, my pace tends to be quite good as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we should end this season on a high, and well, maybe you win next week. Who knows? Timon,
Dutchy to Dutchy. Any questions?
You said and the calendar or the season on a win.
next time
Yeah.
round. But we still got 2 rounds after this, which are still not to be announced. And with the
Sure, of
current
course, yeah.
championship standings
Yeah.
being there, winning the championship is pretty much going to be out of reach.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
will your expectations be for the next 3 races? Of course, we know that you've got high ones for the next one, but
Yeah.
the next 2 races unannounced, will you fully grind for it, or will you put it a little bit on the back burner because this season is pretty much over for you championship-wise?
I mean, for sure, the first couple of races have been acceptable, still quite disappointing. So I really want to end on a high, maybe go for P3 or something in the championship. That would be quite a nice goal, I think, to accomplish this season. So yeah, for sure, gonna give it my all and yeah, see where it goes.
One more, because this race you were battling hard with hard runners early on in the race.
Yeah. for sure.
Were you worried that you were going to remain into that hard train for the rest of the race, or were you always confident that you were able to make the undercut really work well and keep up the momentum for the rest of the race so you could fully drive away from them?
Well, to be honest with you, I was before the race, I was thinking about starting on hards as well, and then I talked to a bud of mine, and he said that soft medium was the way to go because you have the massive undercut by like 2 laps, and you're like 2 seconds faster. So I knew for sure that the pace was going to be there, but maybe I also had a bit of luck with guys who hit it even earlier than I did, and who came in between me and some hard runners in second stint. So that's probably why I could increase the gap. So I was sure confident in the pace, but it was also a bit of luck, of course.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for the interview. I hope you can enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, thank you. You guys as well.
Yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, you
Over
guys.
to you again, Evan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Covers. Appreciate the interview. Well, folks, that's all we do have time for here this evening here in F2, because, of course, F1 still ongoing. You don't have to go anywhere. Don't leave the stream. We'll automatically redirect you over to F1 so you can enjoy the action with Jessica Ball and James Head. I believe that's who's usually doing it, and I wasn't aware of any replacements, so believe. And that is the order of play over there. Once again, Hyman, thank you very much for joining me. Will it be the last time you're here this season? We've said it pretty much every time, and the answer's always been no, so if we do get to hear you again on F2, we look forward to it. But, ladies and gentlemen, from myself and from Time and alongside me, thank you very much for tuning in to PSGL F2. We're going to leave you with a final word from our title sponsors, GT and Mega. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside off here. He's through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.